You're the owner of a small business, which means you're also the tech guy, and HR, and personal assistant, and head honcho, and intern. You could use another pair of hands, like the experts you'll find at Verizon Small Business Days, April 21st through 27th. Get a free tech check, special deals, and more. Call 1-800-483-4428 or visit verizon.com/smallbusiness to book your appointment. Verizon Business.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
You ever notice certain phrases get you thinking? Like in the weather when they say a storm system is knocking on the door, it's like, hello, bad weather coming. May I come in, please? It's not, they should say a very polite storm is on its way because it's going to knock before it comes in.
Or as we like to say around here, Hurricane Dawn back on the air.
Always. And I'm trying to
Typhoon Tommy
blow some of the bad financial product purveyors right out to sea. And from Seattle, it's really hard to blow them out to sea because somebody put a mountain range in the way.
Well, and the prevailing wind blows the other direction.
Right, so I got to blow harder than the wind.
Which is not usually a problem for you. So
I knew that was cold.
Keep it going. You're good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talking Real Money, the show, the podcast, the legend. Let that sink in for a moment.
It's going to sink in for a long time. For whatever is available to sink.
Do you have questions? Do you have concerns about your money, about your future, about your retirement? Well, we're here to help. Just call us at 855-935-TALK, 855-935-TALK, or you can send questions in at TalkingRealMoney.com, too. We take the typed ones. We've got some of those lined up.
And your questions, your called-in questions, go right to the top of the heap. We got a lot of topics, but we always move them out of the way to help you first.
We got to take questions because, man, important. We have a lot of typed ones, too. But having said that, what would you guess is the number one question we get on the show, on the podcast, in real life? What's our biggest question?
Yeah, I can tell you what number one for me is always, is that really your natural blonde hair color? That's always seemed to be number one for me.
Yeah, and I find that when you carry around a bright yellow light with you everywhere you go, that people do often confuse gray for blonde.
Oh, okay.
It's all about the lighting. Right now,
my
though,
grandkids don't know yet.
In
so
the blue
okay.
lighting of your hanger there,
ouch!
It is definitely
blue lighting.
definitely not blonde, Tom.
All kidding aside, the number one question.
No. Kidding is not aside. No.
The number one question, and it's not just today. It generally is all the time. It literally is. If you go back as long as we've been doing this for decades, in your case,
eons,
near centuries.
Pretty close.
It's always, what do I do with my money today?
Yeah. I've got a bunch of money. I've got $100,000 sitting in savings.
Yeah.
What should I do with it?
So you can call us and ask us because we have a great answer.
We don't know.
It's 2 words. It depends. So, but here's a couple things I can eliminate because we're going to do a webinar on this a couple of days from now. Here's one I can eliminate.
Yeah, that's one of the big questions. What do I do in this current situation?
Right, because
with the uncertainty of the election.
Fill in the blank. It doesn't. It's the pandemic. It's the election. It's the China. There's always a list. Fill in the blank. China. And the reaction is always the same. Whatever the purpose of the money is, it has nothing to do. And by the way, please do call and ask me about the election, because how many trading days now are left until the election? You know the answer to this.
I do.
Yeah, you do. Sure, you do. Come on,
I'd have to count them.
It's 11 trading days until the election. Now, do you think you should
11, you're correct. Good job.
Thank you. Do you think you should, I guess if you include election day, it could be 12. Do you base your decisions on what's going to happen in the next 12 days in your life generally? I don't. I don't think you do. Most people, they're thinking a little further down the road than 12 days.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it doesn't matter if it's a day, a week, a month, or 30 years. If you're trying to do something based on a future prediction, you're not going to make a good decision because the future can go. I mean, all right, in 2016, everybody was 100% sure that Secretary of State Clinton would win the presidential election. No one even imagined that there would be a Trump presidency. It was unimaginable to most of the pundits and the pollsters. And yet, life is uncertain. It's not predictable. Quit trying to predict it. That's one of the problems with those questions, is that it implies we have prognosticative power. Ooh, another word I like.
Thank you. And I think people mistake that for then, okay, here, with that in mind, I know this is going to happen, so I'm going to put my money in this way. That's not the right thing to do.
You're confused? Call us, 855-935-TALK. You want to know what to do in the future? We'll tell you the truth. 855-935-8255.
Tom and Don are talking real money.
There's a science to managing money. I call it financial physics, and you can get a free copy of my easy-to-read book, Financial Physics, at talkingrealmoney.com/free, or there's an interactive version available on Apple iBooks. It's called Financial Physics, that's spelled with an F, and you can get it free at talkingrealmoney.com/free or in the Apple bookstore.
For your real life and real future, Tom and Don are talking real money.
Yep. Real money. Nothing but real money. Just the real thing. No fake stuff. No counterfeiting. No weirdness here going on. No cryptos. No cryptocurrencies.
You can call and ask us about that, but...
Yeah, you sent me something about Rick Edelman having a class on cryptocurrencies.
Rick's been big on the whole crypto thing for a long time, and he thinks we all need to invest in it. We all need to understand it, and I just don't buy into it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as Tales from the Crypto, which is very appropriate in October because it's like, it's like
exactly
death coming out of a box to get you. So don't get into crypto. Get into real investing at 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255. Or you can send us a question at talkingrealmoney.com. Just go to the contact form, just like this. The subject of this question is an independent 401k. Now, I do not believe we have ever had a question on the show on an I-401k. They've been around since like 2002. Which is and
this is for smaller businesses,
self-employed,
sole proprietorship. And the idea here is it allows you to put more money in than you would be in a traditional IRA, for example.
Yeah, but it only works for sole props. It can be you and a spouse is the only exception, so you can't have employees or any of that stuff. But what's interesting is that it has very similar rules to the regular 401k. Now, this question is, I'm an employee of a firm and max out my 401k for the over 50-year-old age group. I also put
Which is $25,000 this year?
26 and change.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's 19.5. I think it's 26. Plus, I think it's 26 even. 26 even, because 55 plus 9.
Now someone's going to call and correct you. So
no, I think I'm right.
Okay.
I also put $7,000 after tax into a backdoor Roth. I also do some part-time independent work, so she's a sole prop. That work has gross income of $10,000 for 2020. How much of that income can I contribute to an I-401k?
Wow. Now go back. She already contributes to another retirement plan?
Yeah. A Roth.
I don't know that she can do a third one.
Yeah, she can. She can.
I thought you said she already contributed to one in addition to the Roth.
At work. That's at her job.
I don't think you can do two retirement plans in 1 year.
I don't see anything here that says you can't. Because I think it's set up like
I've never heard of that.
I think it's set up like a simple IRA or a SEP. You can also, if you have self-employment income, I'm pretty sure on this. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say 100%, but I'm pretty sure that she could deduct $10,000 because her maximum income is $10,000. Pretty sure.
And put all that away
in an I-401k.
In addition to putting money into another retirement
because
plan.
That's a different because it's like you can have a retirement plan at work and it depends on your income, and she didn't put that in here. But she's doing a backdoor Roth, so she can still do that.
Yeah, that's a separate
right.
I just didn't think you could contribute to two different retirement plans that way.
I know
that
you can with a, I know you can with a
Okay.
simple or a SEP. So I
Okay.
would assume the I-401k is in that. I'm reading the IRS stuff, and I'm not finding anything that says you can't. So I'm going to say tentatively $10,000. That's what I'm going with. Now, you know what the limit is, though, on I-401ks, the real.
It's like 50-something thousand, right?
$56,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
If you make $56,000 a year from self-employment income, you can put every penny of it away tax deferred. Tax deductible.
Every single, it would be. Yeah,
It's not a percentage.
Yeah.
It's not a percentage.
Wow.
It's straight off.
Which is not as good as a SEP IRA where you can only take off 25%. I think
Exactly.
of your
This
income.
I-401k
Yeah, right.
baby cakes thing is a deal.
Wow. Okay, but I'm still going to. I'm
right,
going to
you
just
can question it. It's
gently
okay.
argue with you about the fact that you can put money in two different retirement plans.
I'm going to read
Gently.
some of this.
So call and tell Don how he's wrong.
I'm reading this. You know, there's a lot of law here. When you read IRS
You want me to do
code,
the Jeopardy music?
when you
Yeah.
read the IRS code, it's like, wow. Let's see.
I don't read the IRS
and they
code.
are not the I-401k is not exempt from self-employment taxes, so you still have to pay the self-employment tax.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So that income you got to pay the whatever's due.
I just don't see anything that says you can't have both. But I'll keep looking.
Okay.
We don't know. Maybe Andrew.
How about another question?
Oh, do you want another one?
Andrew would know. Yes.
I have another one.
Probably.
I do. I have another one. This is a good one. You ready? This
Okay.
is about VTMFX. I don't even know what that is. What's VTMFX?
I don't know.
I'm going to look it up. Hold on.
I guess I could do the same.
I'm going to do it before you. MFX. Done. Oh, tax managed. Tax managed. Oh, he says it in the body of the note. Okay. Hi, guys. I seldom hear talk about the virtues of Vanguard Tax Managed Balanced Fund, particularly for those investing in taxable accounts. Since 1994, it's returned 7.65% annual, 8.61 over 10 years, 10% over 1, and year-to-date 5.5. Since inception, 94, I don't know what he just said. I say this with a bit of sarcasm, but at age 63, wouldn't I just put everything I own into this little gym? And why doesn't it get more attention, particularly in the retirement set?
Okay, now this is a balanced. Wow, it's cheap. You gotta love
it's
the
really,
expense
really
ratio.
cheap. 0.09%.
Yeah, you gotta love that. As the yield is 1.8.
Right.
It's in large stocks primarily. I'm trying to get a feel for what the
I got to tell you what bothers me. This is what bothers me. There are no internationals.
Yeah.
And look at the stock to bond ratio.
It's 50-50.
That flips the typical balanced on its head.
And it appears that they can move that around. In other words, there's a manager there that can say, "Oh, well, today we feel this." So I'm trying to look at it and see.
They only have 1,000 stocks in the portfolio.
Yeah, you really don't have much. You have a very, 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 very small amount of small and a very, very, very small amount of value. With just two parts of the portfolio we think you should have significant amounts in.
Right. And that may be one of the reasons why you wouldn't want to put it all in this little gym. Bearing in mind, there are a couple things you need to bear in mind. An equity indexed, an indexed stock fund, like the Vanguard Total Stock Index or the Vanguard Total World or the Total World Index, those are not going to be big capital gains generators. They're not going to generate a lot of realized capital gains. It'll be unrealized gains, which is the same kind of thing you get from a tax-managed fund. The other thing is that despite the fact that this is tax-managed, they are still distributing a yield of almost 2% or have been.
Great return. Let me tell you why. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and Alphabet, the five biggest holdings.
Exactly.
Shocker.
So I don't think this is properly diversified. I think you're going to get a better diversification with VTWAX, and you're going to get some tax deferral. As a matter of fact, it looks like very similar tax deferral.
Tom and Don are talking real money.
Everybody needs help with their money now and again, and if you need more help than we can give in the course of this podcast or show, set up an appointment with one of our advisors for a free actual meeting with no obligation and no high-pressure sales pitch. Just go to vestory.com, that's vestory.com, or call 800-386-3004.
Your guides to a really great financial future. Tom and Don are talking real money.
Again, the number, 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255. Tom, during the break, I dug a little deeper into the taxable difference between the Vanguard Total World Stock Index and the Vanguard Tax Managed Balanced Fund. Very interesting. The two have almost identical yields. They have been almost identical, about 2%. But what's the Vanguard Total World Stock Index hasn't distributed any capital gains at all, nor has the tax managed. So from a tax standpoint, they're going to be very similar.
And let me mention one thing, because this does seem to come up. Your income has to be at a fairly high level for you to be very worried about taxation when it comes to your non-qualified accounts, your regular brokerage accounts. You got to, especially in retirement, you got to have a pretty good income before this really comes into play. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, you're making a lot of money, then that's a different topic. How your investments are set up would make more sense. And by the way, I couldn't tell the type of fixed income. So are they using then municipal bond in there so they don't have any taxation on the interest? Because that would be another thing to consider here, that again, when we look at all of this, it's a very small number of us, I don't even include myself here, that really need to use
I'm not in that.
municipal bonds.
I am definitely
you really
not in that category.
Yeah, so your income has to be pretty high to need that.
Let me see if I can find the fixed income.
Yeah, I couldn't see it on my screen there. But so that would be something, again, because now, especially with interest rates where they are, there's going to be even more discussion about the fact of whether or not you even need municipal bonds instead of just a regular total bond type of allocation.
Yeah, it's 98% municipal.
Okay, so they do use basically interest-free bonds,
right,
then, if you will. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, that's it would be the way I would go.
That is very interesting because remember, this portfolio is 50-50, 50% stocks, 50% bonds, with a yield of under 2%. A past tense yield. The Vanguard Total World Stock Index is 100% stocks with a yield of about 2%.
Yeah, and what are you getting now on the total bond? It's about 2%, right?
Mm-hmm. About 2%.
Yeah. So I guess why wouldn't I do this? It's not as diversified as I would like.
Right.
It's I don't know that it has the small or the value kind of stocks I'd like to see in it. And again, I'm not sure without knowing you that you really need to use municipal bonds instead of just a total bond fund, which should provide a little more interest.
And I think let me do this question, and we can keep this for after the break. We'll get the question in now, and then come back. This is House Rich, Cash Poor.
Yeah.
Love your show.
House Rich, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Almost all pundits in personal finance, including you, advise their followers in general not to pay off the house, especially in today's low interest rate environment.
That's not true, by the way, but okay.
Agree it is the right advice, but you guys also have to help the audience with one other suggestion.
Okay.
Instruct them. Oh, it's a comment. It's not really a question. Instruct them, direct them, force them. I don't think we can force anybody. It's kind of hard over the radio.
I still have a 12-year-old daughter. She does what I tell her sometimes.
Yeah, but not over the radio. Tell her to do something now and see if she does it. See, not going to happen.
It's not in the right part of the house.
Exactly. It forced them to at least put away the extra money they were going to pay into a separate account and not keep it in their day-to-day expense pocket, because they will never find it and lose both sides of the benefit. This is from my personal experience. Edelman advised me to get a long-term mortgage and never pay it off, which I agree with, but I was not smart enough to execute it by saving the unspent funds separately and investing it. All I'm asking is next time, help them open a separate place to save it. Make sense?
Well, that's always true. If you just run out and spend it, then It's
a bad
You're right.
idea.
Then paying down debt would have been a better idea. Yeah, no question.
Yeah, what you do is you build
When
a
are you going to start
portfolio.
investing and stop wasting money on things like housing, food, all the rest of that stuff?
86-inch TVs. Yeah, investing. That's what we're telling. We tell people to do that all the
Tom
time.
and Don are talking real money.
If you don't have a financial plan, well, sometimes you just need a little help getting started. And we offer that free help to anybody in a meeting with one of our fiduciary advisors. To set one up, just go to vestory.com, vestory.com, or call 800-386-3004. There's no obligation, no cost, and I promise, no sales pitch.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
You think politics really, on a day-to-day basis, impacts your life? You sit around watching your Fox News or your MSNBC or CNN or whatever it is, constantly sucking down political news. Do you honestly think that the political climate has that big an impact on your day-to-day life? Come on. What really matters in your life? Your money. That's what you care about. You care about money. If you're
that'll have a greater
being,
impact 20, 25 years down the road than, frankly, which party's in power. But
no, money is it. Money is what it's about. That's why we talk about it. And the problem is that we work in an industry that has serious problems. It is the wild, even though we've got the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA and all these people supposedly regulating it, it's the Wild West out there. You really have to take care of yourself.
There's all kinds of suggestions as to how you should invest your money, whom you should hire to entrust your money to, and at the end of the day, what you should believe about money, right? Because there really isn't anything you're taught at any age about how money works or how investing works. And so what happens is you end up generally
listening to talk radio.
Well, there's that. No, you end up investing with people you know, generally.
Right.
Generally.
Or
not always.
Or you listen to talk radio.
Okay,
and the fact of the matter
enough.
is that's where a lot of people get their financial advice. And
there's some...
and I can tell you from experience, almost no one in America has more experience with financial talk radio than I do. Very few people. I was in the industry before it became as corrupt as it is now, before radio stations started selling advertising to any idiot who could write the check. In Atlanta, Georgia, on the biggest radio station down there, WSB, huge station. I know the program director well. I used to work with him. And WSB sold some time to an idiot. Turns out he's an
Christopher
idiot.
Burns.
Chris Burns. Chris Burns bought a show that he called Dynamic Money, or the Chris Burns Show. And he ran a company called Investus Financial and Investus Advisors. And I went and looked up Chris's ADV Part 2 online to see what, one, he charged ridiculous fees. But the funny thing is, the really strange thing I discovered was that he had no assets under management. Zero.
Well, they're portending what was about to happen.
He had no money. His Schwab was his custodian.
Yeah.
But they held none of his clients' money. None of it.
Apparently it was held in his trunk because Mr. Burns disappeared several weeks ago. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is now looking for him. And in his car, which they located, I think, near the airport.
Near the airport,
again,
yeah.
Shocker. Were some copies of
cashier's checks.
Cashier's checks.
Made out
I'm
to
laughing.
him.
I shouldn't be laughing. Yeah, I hope he's okay.
No,
I mean, no
actually
one should kill
don't.
themselves over money.
I don't. Well, he didn't kill himself. He went to the darned airport. Come
Okay,
on.
but-
what do you go to the airport to commit suicide?
Well, he had a gun.
No, he
Or
didn't.
He didn't have a gun.
Turned
Okay,
out
well,
he
there's a lot
didn't
of-
take the
all
gun.
right.
The FBI
Okay,
found
good.
the gun
Well,
at
all
his
right.
house.
Just as a general, one human being to another, I hope he's okay. That's just
Oh,
me.
you're way nicer than I am.
And I hope he didn't steal anybody's money, but I
He
got a
did.
bad feeling he might have because he was supposed to, the day before he disappeared, The next day he was meeting with an organization called the Securities and Exchange Commission, who had some rather sharp questions, apparently, for the young man.
It appears that they probably just suddenly looked at his ADV Part 2 brochure and said,
Whoa.
Wait, you've been in business for several years and you're not managing any money? Where
Among
did
other
it go?
problems.
You have clients.
Apparently, and he had a custodial relationship with himself where he was taking his client's money and holding it, which does bring me to an important topic because we talked about how you find an advisor. I am not a fan, and I mentioned this in the podcast, which will be available in the next, I think, day or so. I'm not a fan of necessarily hiring people you go to church with, people you meet at school, people that affinity because generally speaking, those you make that hire because they're the nice young man that you see in church or wherever socially, right? That's not. So then what do you do? Do you do a Google search? Because if you do a Google search for financial advisor, you run into an organization called Smart Asset. You run into an organization called NerdWallet, or you find an article at U.S. News from 5 years ago that tells you how to find a financial advisor. There's no more Yellow Pages. You really can't use that, right?
No. There is, but does anybody use it?
When we come back, we'll try and give you a few ideas because this is a very important topic, and most of you do need help.
And that is why we actually created some tools to help you do this, because you can't go brave this world on your own. It's way too dangerous. 855-935-TALK.
Tom and Don are talking real money.
There's a science to managing money. I call it financial physics, and you can get a free copy of my easy-to-read book, Financial Physics, at talkingrealmoney.com/free, or there's an interactive version available on Apple iBooks. It's called Financial Physics, that's spelled with an F, and you can get it free at talkingrealmoney.com/free or in the Apple bookstore.
For your real life and real future, Tom and Don are talking real money.
And we're also talking about how you find the financial help you need. And it is very, very hard to find. We were speaking about a guy who did a talk show on WSB in Atlanta. Apparently, we don't know this yet, but apparently it seems like he was having checks made out to him from his clients because they found some in his car. And that's a bad idea. You want to make sure your advisor has a third-party custodian. For example, if you came to our firm, you would never, ever, ever write a check to Tom or me or to Vestory, our firm. You would send the check to Schwab, Charles Schwab, the third-party custodian. We couldn't take your money if we wanted to. But there's more to it than that. A lot of people don't find their advisor on the radio. They find it through somebody at church. Like what Tom was talking about, finding them online, for example. I went to Google, like you suggested, and because we're based in Bellevue, Washington, I typed in Financial Advisors Bellevue. And what I get is about 10 ads, paid placement pieces. One of them
probably expensive
for a firm in Bellevue. The first one that came up, other than a national, advisor finding service, was a firm in Bellevue. I looked up their ADV Part 2, and they're a duly registered advisor, so they're not just a fiduciary.
That means they have a broker-dealer where they could sell you products. They don't have to put your interest first.
And they sell insurance products, like indexed annuities, apparently, maybe. Yeah. And if you are their fee-based client, where they charge you a fee for your account, their annual
fee only or fee-based?
Fee-based.
Okay.
They charge 2.5% a year at the top end.
That is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive. Outrageous.
But most people don't do what I do and go in and pore over the Financial Advisor's ADV Part 2 brochure. The SEC says it has to be written in plain English and easy to read. None of them are easy to read. They're written to be opaque. Again, love that word. Obfuscative. And I made that one up.
You did.
I think so.
But it sounds good and it
sounds
fits.
Good.
All right.
So how do you find a good one? How do you? What do you do?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We do have a list at our website, and yes, it includes us, but it has many other people on it too. So you go to talkingrealmoney.com/help. So there's a list there. That's one method.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then I also mentioned in an upcoming podcast that you could go to another website. I think you can go to Dimensional Fund's website, right?
DFAUS.
DFAUS.com.
Not easy to find.
but you can find advisors there that I think will treat you fairly. You know, they will charge a reasonable amount. They will use, you're making a face, they will use low-cost index or index-type funds.
It's only because I did this once. In fact, let's do it for Bellevue, Washington.
See who comes up.
And I am going to see who comes up, because the last time I did this, a firm that sells indexed annuities came up. Remember?
Oh, that's right. We did have that issue.
We had a little argument with they're still there.
No surprise.
Do not go to DFA US to find an advisor. They're still there. There is a company in Seattle that primarily sells equity indexed annuities, and yet they come up on DFA's site because they cut a deal for their fee-based operation to use DFA funds. They've even, in some of their advertisements, used DFA as a form of kind of bait and switch to get people to come to a science-based investing thing, and then they go, but instead of that, why don't you just do this indexed annuity?
We'll have to raise that with the nice people at Dimensional.
We've raised it.
Which we did last time.
We raised it, and, again, what does it come down to? It's like Vanguard. It's like Vanguard and their alternative fund. John Bogle would be flipping over in his grave. He'd be doing the samba. He'd be going nuts in his grave if he knew that they were selling alternative investments at Vanguard. He would go nuts. DFA is just like everybody else. It's about the bottom line. I wish I could say it was different, but it is. It's sad. Sorry, DFA. You guys messed up when you let these people on your website. We've told you about them. We know who they are. They are not on the up and up. One of these days, they're going to go down because the head of the company is a CFP, and if he's selling indexed annuities, the Certified Financial Planning Board says you can't do that.
They actually said that.
That's their new rules as of October, supposedly.
Oh. That I did not know either. Okay.
Yeah, you have to be a fiduciary at all times.
Which you really can't be and sell that product.
Can't be. That was the whole big deal with the Labor Department rules on the fiduciary standard, is that it would have stopped anyone from selling indexed annuities who handled retirement plans, and they were up in arms. This is why the industry fought it. As a matter of fact, years ago, when indexed annuities were just getting started, the SEC wanted to regulate them as a security. And the insurance industry spent tens of millions of dollars lobbying to keep that from happening.
Okay, so let's do this another way. Let's go to our
website.
Process. There's that. And then the process of elimination. I would only hire a 100% fiduciary firm. I would not hire anyone who's duly registered.
Then I have a question for you.
Well, I'm not done.
Because they don't know. Let's start with that one. How do I know which one's 100% fiduciary?
Well, then there you have to read their ADV.
Oh, fine. Now you make me read their ADV. But it doesn't say that. But nobody puts in their ADV 100% fiduciary.
But you can see there, you can read it, and it'll say oftentimes what types of products they use, and from that you can discern. I agree. It's not easy.
That's why I invented the hats, but nobody ever used my hats.
I know. Your red hat. Number two, I would not hire an insurance company to handle my investments.
Ever.
That's another one there's no reason to. It's not what they do. I know they do it because they make a lot of money doing it, but it wouldn't be where I would go.
No brokers and banks, ever.
No. I would only hire, here's another one, I would only hire a firm that charges 1% a year at the most or less. Mm-hmm. I see no reason to pay more than that. And I would not hire a firm that has any sort of commission, so that would also eliminate a broker-dealer because they charge commissions. So you're eliminating some people there, but then it still gets back to this, okay, that's great. My money's at Ameriprise. How the heck do I find somebody else who would do a better job for me?
Because I've run into this brick wall so many times. It used to be I suggested DFA US. I finally had to take responsibility for this, and that's why I came up with TalkingRealMoney.com/help. Go there. You will find an interview form for advisors.
Good point.
That says on there, I pledge to always act as your fiduciary. Please sign this. If they refuse to sign it, then run out the door as fast as your feet will carry you. You want to know what they charge? I've got a list of what the major firms charge, including Ameriprise at 3.07% at the high end. You want a list of advisors that I have personally taken a look at. I cannot personally vouch for them. I cannot recommend them, but I've looked at them. I know that they work with dimensional funds, and I read their ADV, and according to their ADV, they do not sell securities on commission, so they shouldn't have that conflict. Can't guarantee anything. It's just a suggestion. That's
Checks will not be honored.
That's there. We've got some resources. Yes. There is a bit of self-serving nature to these things. But it's more helpful than anything else out there.
You mentioned it takes some time, some effort, and some work, and the reality is this is your money, this is your future, your retirement. It's worth spending the time on it. No question.
No kidding. You have got to take care of yourself because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to do what you do.
Tom and Don are talking real money.
Everybody needs help with their money now and again, and if you need more help than we can give in the course of this podcast or show, set up an appointment with one of our advisors for a free actual meeting with no obligation and no high-pressure sales pitch. Just go to vestory.com, that's VESTORY.com, or call 800-386-3004.
Your guides to a really great financial future. Tom and Don are talking real money.
And again, that place to go to help find the advice you need is talkingrealmoney.com/help, or just click on the guy who says help wanted. Got a sign. And if you're concerned about the election and what it might do to your investments, you definitely need to attend a class we're doing for free on Wednesday. You can sign up for it right now, no cost, at talkingrealmoney.com, talkingrealmoney.com.
We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for educational and hopefully enjoyable purposes only. Providing personalized financial planning or investing advice takes time, so please consult with a really good fee-only fiduciary investment, tax, or legal advisor. We know a good one. Investing must always involve risk. In other words, you can and probably will lose money at times. Also, as much as you want it, no one can accurately, consistently predict the future. So past performance doesn't tell you a darn thing about what the future will bring. Unlike many other programs that say something similar, Talking Real Money is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities. Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Vestory, a fee-only registered investment advisor. Thanks for listening, and please visit talkingrealmoney.com for more information and disclosures. Are we done now?